Science in pajamas, jamas. All right, so we're back with another installment of Science in Pajamas. Today we are going to talk about biological organization. So, how do we organize living things from the smallest little tiny increment all the way up to the biggest? Now, just like the scientific method, there's different ways you can organize this in terms of different number of categories. Sometimes books will group certain ones together. Sometimes they'll put everything in their own individual. Okay, so we're just going to talk about everything together. And then we'll, again, at the end, mention how things can be grouped up. So, what's the smallest thing that makes up a living thing? Before you say cells, yes! But cells, even though the cells are the smallest unit of life, they are still made up of smaller pieces. So we're going to go all the way down to an atom. There's our atom. Then atoms come together to form molecules. So let's see, we can do. In case you're wondering, that's a nucleotide. It's a type of molecule, a monomer, that can then be used to make a larger molecule called a macromolecule. So we start off with atom. Atoms come together to form molecules like this nucleotide. And these molecules come together to form macromolecules like this example of DNA. So far, so good? Excellent. All right. And actually, we can talk about how an atom can come together to form even smaller molecules like this pentose sugar, and then how that comes together with other molecules to form this bigger molecule, how this comes together to form even bigger molecules. Like I said, there's many different ways you can kind of go through this. Well, now that we have macromolecules, and a whole bunch of different ones at that, we can now have cells. So macromolecules like DNA, proteins, lipids, all of these come together. Carbohydrates, they all come together to form cells. Cells come together to form tissues. So we have cell, we have tissue. Probably keep these off. Molecule, macromolecule. I know my handwriting is bad. I get it. So I use PowerPoint in class. Tissues, so an atom is the smallest thing. Yes, we can even go farther than that, say like protons, neutrons, and electrons. Let's not get crazy now. Atoms come together to form molecules. Molecules come together to form macromolecules. Macromolecules come together to form cells. Cells come together to form tissues. Tissues come together to form That's supposed to be a heart. So organs. Then different organs come together to form an organ system. Then all the different organ systems come together to form an organism. Let's go ahead and do the line. You'll see why in a moment. So organ systems come together to form an organism. All of the same kind of organisms living together in an area form a population. So this would be all the lines together. Let's have some minuses too. Have some little babies. So all types of one organism that lives in the same area together is called a population. All right. Running out of space here. All of the populations in that one area come together to form what's called a community. So that would be lions, the birds, the trees, the zebras, um, the elephants. All of these communities, all these populations, every population, so every group of a species in that one area makes the community. The community plus all non-living factors such as water, dirt, air, sunlight, rocks, plus our community. So community plus the non-living factors. Here's the zebra. Here's the lion. Here's the bird. Got the tree. Here's the elephant. The living and non-living factors, that makes up the ecosystem. Now, in this case, the ecosystem would be the savanna. It's a type of grassland in Africa. All similar ecosystems. So, the savanna, the grasslands of Africa, the Great Plains of the Midwest, and here in North America, any kind of grassland in any part of the world. So these are all grasslands in different parts of the world. So let's see, we have Africa. There's grasslands in North America. There's grasslands in South America. There's grasslands in Asia. There's grasslands in Australia. There's grasslands in Europe. All of these different types of grasslands, including this ecosystem here, make up what we call biome. Biome is all similar types of ecosystems. We said an ecosystem is just an example, a particular example of a biome. The savanna is a particular ecosystem. It's found in one place. But there are other similar ecosystems, other similar grasslands, and collectively, they're a biome. And then all the biomes across the world. That gives us the biosphere. The biosphere is a part of the planet that supports life. So, does all life live on the exact surface of the planet? No. Things fly. So, the biosphere is going to extend to a certain point in the atmosphere. It's also going to extend below ground because things dig and live in the soil. It's going to go down into the oceans because, guess what? Again, things live down there. So the biosphere is the part of the planet where life exists. Now, these are a lot of different steps. Let's go through them all together now. Atoms come together to form molecules. Molecules come together to form macromolecules. Macromolecules come together to form cells. Cells come together to form tissues. Tissues come together to form organs. Organs come together to form an organ system. All of those organ systems together form an organism, like this line. An organism, when you have multiple organisms of the same kind in the same area, that's a population. Populations, all the different populations living in the same area, that's your community. The community plus the non-living factors like sunlight, air, water, rocks, that makes up an ecosystem. All the similar ecosystems across the entire planet make up a biome. And all the biomes where life exists, that's our biosphere. Now, depending on how you've learned this, you've learned it with different numbers of steps because, like I said, sometimes different textbooks group these together. I've seen ecosystem and biome grouped together. I've also seen atoms, molecules, and macromolecules all grouped together. I've seen tissue, organs, organ systems grouped together. I'm just breaking it apart. I'm not saying there's any definitive number of steps. I'm just breaking it apart from smallest to biggest. So we go from atoms to molecules, macromolecules to cells to tissues to organs, organ systems, organism, population, community, ecosystem, biome, biosphere. That is the breakdown of biological organization. All right. So I hope you found that educational. I hope it helps in the understanding of this topic. And in the meantime, you guys, stay awesome, enjoy your summer, and yeah, just be awesome. I know you guys are. So take care, all right? Stay safe, be healthy. All right, you guys.